Welcome to our Devos. It is a new year. We're focusing on the new. And this series is called Prepare for New. There's 2 weeks that we're going to be going through this. And it doesn't matter when you're watching these in the year because most New Year's resolutions are actually January, first week of January resolutions. This is about getting a mindset around the fact that God does new things. But he works in concert with our desire to follow him. So there's a couple things that we're going to look at in the coming weeks that are going to help us to realign our priorities with his. And speaking of priorities, that's exactly what we're talking about today. The first thing you want to do when it comes to looking at this year is prioritize. It's easy to get shiny object syndrome, where you become fascinated and fixated on new things to try, new things to do, and really you can get caught in reading books or reading articles or even spiritual things that you ought to do to make your life better for God in the coming year. Well, I want to caution you to first spend time prioritizing. And what does that mean? That means really think about what's going to have the greatest impact. I mean, right now, the way to look at what priorities should demand the most of your attention is think about the area of your greatest pain point. So right now, if I were to ask you, what is the area where you are I'm really struggling with this? I'm struggling relationally with my spouse. I'm struggling financially in terms of how I'm handling my money and debt. I'm struggling in the way I'm managing my work relationships, my relationships with my children, how I'm dealing with the time there. I don't know what it is, but I suspect you do. And if you go into the new year under this mindset that you have to fix everything, you're going to end up fixing nothing. And if you go into the new year with this mindset that you have to do all the things all at once, you're going to find that after February, at the latest, you're going to have run out of steam. So prioritize. Now, how do you prioritize? Well, prioritize means that you keep the main thing. You keep it to the top of the list. You keep that focus. And Jesus even tells us this in Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. Now, this is the ultimate one thing. He says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. This idea of prioritization comes from Jesus. And he's talking about these other things that tend to produce anxiety, if we're being honest, like where we're going to live, the needs that we have, what we're going to eat, those things. He says, seek God first. And the thing of it is when we seek God first, those other things figure themselves out. If we seek him and his perspective, those other things tend to come naturally. So my encouragement to you is this year, prioritize. The most important thing is what we've been talking about in church, what we're going to talk about is becoming more like Jesus. So seek the kingdom first. When you put him first, the priorities of everything else line up. How you treat people lines up. How you deal with your finances lines up. How you spend your time lines up. All of it connects together to make sure that your priorities are in line with his.